Did you know that your pelvis is a powerhouse of emotion and energy? Today, we're exploring how mindful movement in this area can release what no longer serves you. Ready to feel lighter and more liberated? Then let's get moving. Hey, fellow mover, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lisa, and today I'm your guide on a journey to embodiment through movement. And if you crave more, I post new videos here every Friday. Now it's time to explore movements that feel good. Embodiment is all about tapping into your unique essence, and movement is a great tool to get there. So leave your inhibitions and self-judgment behind, and let's move. All right, let's begin, my friends, by understanding the magic of the pelvis and the ways it can move. Our pelvis is not just a bony structure. It's a vessel that stores emotions, memories, and energy. Moving through this area mindfully can help us release what no longer serves us, promoting a sense of freedom and well-being. But before we dive deeper, I want to share something exciting with you. I've just launched my Move online program for embodied movement. This program is designed to guide you through a transformative embodiment journey, 1 month at a time. It's packed with movement meditations, video tutorials, follow-along routines, journaling exercises, and so much more. And the best part? It's now available at a special introductory price. So if you're ready to fully embrace your body and embark on this incredible journey, click the link in the descriptions box below and register today. I can't wait to move with you. First, let's explore the sagittal plane with anterior and posterior tilts of the pelvis. All right, let's think about the pelvis and imagine it as a big bowl that's filled to the rim with water. We're going to bend at the knees a little bit, standing with the feet about shoulder width apart. And we're moving the pelvis in the sagittal plane by coming into a posterior tilt, tilting the tailbone under and pouring the water out the back of the pelvis. And then an anterior tilt, arching that lower back, lifting up the tailbone in the back, right? And pouring the water out the front of the bowl. Let's do that a few times. Tilt under, find your posterior tilt, draw in through your abdominals, engage through your glutes, and rock it back to an anterior tilt, arching that lower back, finding a little fold at the hips. We can keep those knees slightly bent and rock back and forth from a posterior tilt to an anterior tilt. Just a little bend in the knees is good enough, just a softening. We're trying to move really in the pelvis, feeling that bowl tilt back and forth to pour water out the back and water out the front. Feel that release of some energy as you rock that pelvis back and forth. Beautiful. Tempting to hold pretty still through the rest of the body. Shoulder girdle, head and neck, connecting with your abdominal region, your gluteal muscles, that big bowl, getting it rocking, stimulating some circulation. Okay, and that's movement in our sagittal plane, forward and back. That's how the pelvis moves in the sagittal plane. Now let's explore how the pelvis moves in the frontal plane. Once again, we can just soften up in the knees. And think of that bowl filled up to the brim with water. We're pouring water out the side of the bowl and pouring water out the side of the bowl. You can come from your knees. As one knee bends, that side of the pelvis will sink down. And the other leg can straighten, hiking up on that side of the pelvis to pour the water out towards the bent knee. To pour the water out towards the bent knee, holding the shoulder girdle still. Feel how that gives a release down that side body. We're keeping the pelvis pretty well squared forward here.
It's not twisting to the side. It's moving strictly in this frontal plane. Side, side, hiking up one side, hiking up the other. That's how the pelvis moves in the frontal plane. Let's explore now how the pelvis moves in the transverse plane. We'll bend the knees once again. And this time, imagine you have a big flashlight coming straight out from the point between your navel and your pubic bone. And that flashlight is going to attempt to turn slightly left and turn to the right. Turn to the left, turn to the right. And see how you can do that with as little movement as possible through your shoulder girdle, through your head and neck, turning the flashlight to the left and right, turning left, turning right. Woo! You can feel it coming through that midsection, right? Now what we're going to do, friends, is make these 3 movement patterns more fluid. The pelvis loves to release with fluidity of movement. So let's make these movements in each of the 3 planes fluid. The sagittal plane will have us moving from the posterior tilt to the anterior tilt, but with a wave-like pattern. So we'll tuck for the posterior tilt, sway forward. Anterior tilt, sway the pelvis slightly back. Getting that fluidity with a gentle wave, and that wave can then travel up your spine. So we started stimulating a lot down here in the pelvis. Now we're going to let that stimulation create circulation up and down your energy centers, up and down your spine, and it's all initiated with this very powerful force, the pelvis, where we have so much wisdom, intuition, knowledge, but we can also store a lot that we no longer need. So we're letting it go. What we don't need, we can let go. And what serves us, we can truly embrace and connect with. Now let's explore in the frontal plane the fluidity of movement through the pelvis. We'll give this initiation of hiking the pelvis on one side, then the other. But then again, it turns into a little wave to the side. It can travel up your spine and give a gentle, lovely stretch through your side body. As you feel your feet anchored and grounded, and you can sway in the wind like the trees blowing gently in the wind, letting everything go from the pelvis all the way up through your neck to the crown of your head, letting it out. Feel that release of energy. As we hike up on one side of the pelvis and then just gently push it to that side. Hike up on the other side of the pelvis and push in that direction. Hike up and push over. Hike up and push over. It's as if we always push towards the straight leg. That's it. And that's our frontal plane movement, lateral spinal waves. And then we have our transverse plane movement where we turn the flashlight to the left and right. This one's challenging to get that isolation, but now we're not going to worry too much about getting it isolated. We're going to make it fluid. We turn it one way, turn it the other way, and we end up flowing with an infinity pattern through the pelvis. Feels so good and wonderful to get all that movement across your internal organs, through your chakras, solar plexus, sacral, root chakra. Everything can start stimulating and circulating the energy. And this can be done in both directions, honestly. You turn one way and back up. Turn the navel one way and back it up. Those are really feel-good moves, my friends, and they all seamlessly flow into one another. If we just give it all to our pelvis and allow the pelvis to be expressive, all of these movements can just simply come into play and flow between one another and create a beautiful, intuitive dance of release and recognition of all that's good within this region of the body, all that we can celebrate. Whew. Get it moving with your frontal waves, sagittal waves, and infinities. Beautiful. Now let's take it down to the ground for one last bit of exploration of the pelvis as we come onto our hands and knees. So grab a mat and join me on the floor. All right, now, so here we are with the hips stacked over the knees, the shoulders stacked over the wrists with straight arms. And let's explore once again the movement of the pelvis, starting off in the sagittal plane. And we'll push the breastbone gently away from the ground to keep the upper back pretty still and isolate this movement to the pelvis with a posterior tilt, lifting the navel, and an anterior tilt, sinking down through the lower back, giving an arch in that lower back. Like your cat and cow stretch, but isolated, limited to just that lower back and pelvis region. Inhaling and exhaling. Use your breath to initiate that rocking of the pelvis from the anterior to posterior tilts. And then let's work on the lateral plane movement, where we hike up on one side of the pelvis and then the other. It's like a closing in on one side of the body, stretching a little open on the other, lengthening through one side and then the other. Then we can also explore a little bit of the transverse, although we will be quite limited with how much rotation we can get there in the pelvis. But what we can do is make some circles with the pelvis here. And that's another nice way to think about getting a lot of movement through the pelvis, is with some big circles now, where we connect some of the points we were working on before. The extension of that lower back as we go into an anterior tilt, a hike up on one side, and then flexion in the lower back with a posterior tilt, and a hike to the other side. It's like we're moving through the planes of motion here with a rotation and controlling that with the abdominals, working through that region and changing direction. And using the breath to get that circulation. Beautiful. Don't forget, we can let all of those moves become very fluid and connect together and create a beautiful little intuitive dance. Where everything moves up and down the spine through your energy centers, flowing, creating stimulation of good energy and a release of anything that no longer serves you. Such a lovely practice.
Remember, each of these movements helps in circulating blood, removing toxins, and freeing up emotional blockages stored in the hips and pelvis. It's not just about the physical benefits, but also about the emotional liberation that comes with mindful movement. Take a moment to thank yourself for dedicating this time to your body and mind. Moving through these planes of motion regularly can create a profound sense of release and rejuvenation. So keep exploring, keep moving, and keep embodying your unique essence. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And join me next Friday for another session of embodied movement. Until then, stay free, stay vibrant, and keep moving forward. I'll see you next time, fellow mover. Thanks for watching.